There is a long-rooted connection between art and social activism.
So we're going to send a message to the Democrats and to President Obama that we want humane immigration policy. As artists, as cultural workers, we care about immigrant rights, we care about these issues, and we're gonna jam them up. We're gonna use all our means, all our cultural tools, our art tools to hold them accountable. It's an election year, so we're gonna put the pressure on and really call for humane and compassionate immigration policy.
Struggling to survive. On the count.
From Arizona to Charlotte, North Carolina, they've traveled across the country in what's called the Undocubus. 40 undocumented workers risking it all to bring their message to the Democratic National Convention.
So what's really interesting about Undocubus is it's not just undocumented young people, dreamers who are traveling, right? Actually adults, like parents, are traveling on the bus. I mean, in some ways, I think it's reminiscent of the Freedom Riders, right, in the 60s, which is really powerful.
We started it because there's a lot of anti-immigrant laws that have been coming out of the South, but also throughout the country. You know, it has ripple effects.
The Undocubus movement rolled into South Nashville just a day after the start of a controversial federal program.
Sin papeles! Sin miedo! Exactly.
I believe that there should be a different conversation about how we are contributing to this country and how we're building, you know, success for other people, and that we want to bring national testimony to what's happening to our communities. And we want also to hear from the president what is he going to do about what's going on.
For me, art has always been a sort of, it's going to sound cliche, but, you know, like my way of, you know, running away from reality or dealing with reality maybe. And so for me, that was a way to, you know, express myself and sort of have a voice, because, you know, being undocumented, I felt that I didn't have a voice. And, you know, through art, I could really say whatever I wanted to say. I am undocumented, I am queer, and so I think it's important to sort of bring all those identities of mine and share it with the rest of the community, because I know there's a lot of people who are just exactly like me, and as undocumented immigrants should not live in fear.
The Undocubus arrived in Charlotte days before the convention started. The caravan of undocumented parents, young people, and workers joined unions and other activists in a powerful march through the Wall Street of the South, as Charlotte is known.
Okay, so we're going to the southern version of Wall Street, and I think it's important that we're present here as undocumented immigrants, because there's this notion that immigrants are taking resources away from this country, where, you know, we're gonna go and try to hold accountable the people who really have fucked up this country. And so as immigrants, we're here to say that we pay taxes, we do what we're supposed to do, yet we're the ones being called criminals, and not the ones that should be called criminals.
To spread awareness in Charlotte, a crew of us set out late night to hit the streets with migrating butterflies.
Well, weed pasting up until a little over a decade ago wasn't as illegal as it is now, even though the paste that you use is something that can easily be pulled off. It's nevertheless considered vandalism. Right now in Charlotte, because it's a national convention and the president is here, as well as the Democrats, it's considered a special event. And under a law that Clinton passed, special events mean that a lot of security measures can be taken. A lot of liberties and rights that you would otherwise have don't exist during this time. It's essentially a police state where sometimes even carrying a sign is illegal, carrying a flag or a banner is illegal, or even wearing a mask can be considered illegal.
I think it's important because these things happen where a lot of the American public can't see them. People don't see this on a day-to-day basis, but for a lot of people, it's a day-to-day, you know, threat. You know, people might have to leave their families, be like taken away from their the life they're trying to create for themselves in this country. And so I think it's important to remind folks that everybody who came to America came through a process of immigration, and we can't demonize one group of people over another. Some people don't always have the same opportunities and securities that some of us take for granted.
So there's a lot of parallels actually between art making and being undocumented, because in reality I think a lot of what we're trying to do as activists and as artists is to call into question the way that laws are built and really say that there's nothing illegal with reclaiming our public space, just like there's nothing illegal with being a human being that wants to come to another country or migrate for their own betterment. What we're doing essentially is calling into question unjust laws.
Artists fighting for migrant rights have a strong practice of collaboration. In Charlotte, we combine forces with our friend and DC-based street artist César Maxit, another artist who used the monarch butterfly image to represent the Undocubus.
So I've created this butterfly. It has a fist, like a power fist, in the wing, going in 4 directions, and sort of that symbolizes the right of a human to travel in any direction they want. Also at the tips of the wings, there's a small family. And then the white dots that the monarch traditionally has around the wings, I've used here. I've created footprints. And so the white dots are actually footsteps going up north and then traveling back south. We've made a giant butterfly, a lot of posters to get up on the street. We've made flags, painting banners, painted butterfly costumes for people to wear. We created a giant banner that's going to be used as part of a civil disobedience action. They have no papers, but they have no fear.
On Tuesday, September 4th, we joined up with the Undocubus writers as they headed out to stage a direct action at the entrance of the Democratic National Convention.
No papers, no fear! No papers, no fear! No papers, no fear!
We traveled all the way from Phoenix, Arizona to North Carolina. We had been on the road for 6 weeks. We're here to tell President Obama that we're not afraid anymore.
The DREAM Act doesn't help my mother. The Fair Action doesn't help my mother. If we are arrested today and she gets arrested, she's risking deportation. But we're here because we want to stop that, exactly that, the separation of families.
Police Department, I need you to leave this intersection or you will be arrested for impeding traffic.
Dignity is standing here, no papers, no fear!
We are here gathered today to see where Obama's legacy will lead. Will he be the president that has the most deportations that any president has ever had? Or will he be the president that stands up for a community that is a part of this country?
They are protesting and they're about to get arrested. When you're undocumented, what it means that you get arrested is that you also get taken by ICE usually. So this is a huge risk that they're taking in order to send a message and stand up for undocumented people all over the country.
No KKK, no racist USA! No KKK, no KKK, no racist USA! No KKK, no racist USA!
disobedience that happened in the 70s around desegregation and around the civil rights movement. And so these strategies are not new strategies. It's part of the tradition that we have as activists to take over public space, to send a message, to get arrested so that we are making a statement with our bodies around why these laws are unjust. Because sometimes, it's not enough to just say that they're unjust. You actually have to take a tremendous risk to yourself, to your body, to your status in the case of immigrants.
On the face!
Things will change. We are here with you. César Maxit!
He has deported more people, and then at the same time he's doing deferred action for Dreamers. So there's always a mixed pot that we get. We can never seem to get someone to stand 100% and do the right thing, and I think that's why it's necessary to be here.
Immigration is not a partisan issue. Immigration is a human rights issue, and the separation of families needs to stop. Whether it's under the Republicans or the Democrats, the anti-immigrant laws have just had a much too high cost for our communities. It's devastated our communities. And that's why they took action today, and they took over an intersection to send a message that immigrants in this country, especially undocumented immigrants, are tired of these laws, and these laws have to end.
Very few, but the activists and the artists and cultural activists are going to be the ones who help define what being an immigrant really is, instead of what we're being told by the media, by the politicians, and by the hate groups increasingly. You know, any number of artists are going to be the ones who help kind of like save the world, basically. And I mean that in all sincerity, because we're not machines. We can't just be programmed to do things. We have to have meaning and understanding that leads to action.
As we kind of enter this age in which we are, you know, the age of globalization, and also I think the flattening of the world because of social media, right? How we're more connected because of technology. It will not only render these borders mute and useless, but it would also redefine our idea of global citizenship.
The president, because every time he talks, he says, you know, let's fix this immigration system. If immigration reform is not going to happen, we want to make sure that those policies that have made it hard for migrants to live in this country to stop. What side of history he's going to be on? He's going to be on the side of creating anti-migrant policies, which is what he has created, or is he going to be on the side where he's going to let the butterflies, be free?
I think that sometimes it's just, people think that street artists, they just make posters or they just put up murals. They don't really understand the impact that can have on people. It opens their minds up to new thoughts or ideas or political statements in ways that, that a TV commentator couldn't do. When an artist understands the political landscape like Favianna does and is able to incorporate that into her art, it really becomes powerful.
So often when we think of immigration, we're only thinking about people coming here in search of jobs. But in reality, people migrate for many reasons. People migrate to leave unsafe conditions. People are migrating because there's a drug war. People are migrating so that they could have healthier lives. Sometimes they're migrating to save their children who need a particular kind of medical care. Women are fleeing domestic violence. In some countries, women are not getting the job opportunities that they would otherwise get here. Gay men, transgender men are fleeing countries that are very homophobic. So there is a variety of reasons why people need to leave their homes. Many of us leave our homes. Many of us want to move freely in search of not just opportunities, but in search of ourselves, in search of our best self. And that's essentially what migration is. It's the fact that people want to move so that they can better themselves. And no matter the reason, we need to allow people the safe right and the ability to move freely so that they can fulfill their best self.
His posters has gotten the attention even of American Apparel. American Apparel called him to beg him to please stop making these undocumented apparel. And so I want to introduce Julio Salgado.
stage, like right now, because I'm by myself out here and it's kind of weird. Yay! History in the building. No papers?
No fear! Let's give it up for History X!
Taught us imaginary border, how they enslave us, imaginary border, how they contain us, imaginary border, how they twist and contort